Undefeated champion Errol the Truth Spence says that Al Haymon is a blessing in this dirty ass boxing game. Stay tuned. Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, Mr. You heard it first. I ain't heard nobody on this YouTube thing talking about this, but Errol Spence on his verified account, he had a very subtle little tweet that he put out, and it says Al Haymon is a blessing in this dirty ass boxing game. Don't know what really inspired it, but the message is what the message is. He calls Al Haymon a blessing in this dirty ass boxing game. Now, Ego's Army, new media, you know how we get down. Shout out to all the fans across the world for the support. And I think one of the reasons we're having such a good year is because a lot of what we have said and represented has come true. And a lot of what old media puts out there, it's quickly disproven or proven to be false or a lie or whatnot. You know, I remember it wasn't too long ago where people were saying Al Haymon was the cancer of boxing and he was all that was wrong in boxing. You know, don't want to give the black man credit, nothing. You know what I mean? Not 1 ounce. You know, Premier Boxing Champs came out, they said it was bound to fail, right? And I thought that was funny because Al Haymon, out of all, he's not even actually a promoter, he's an advisor, but he got treated like a promoter, you know, like in terms of the flack and stuff. And one of the things that was funny to me about it is Al Haymon is a ghost. He's off the grid. Only the fighters and their teams and the Watsons and shit and Floyd talk to him, right? He never does. Name one YouTube boxing channel that has an Al Haymon interview from the last 2, 3, 4 years, right? So he's like really Kaiser Soze or some shit where he's off the grid. He doesn't. I've been around people and I got to hear how he sounded. I never even knew what he sounded like. But a call was made and he was on speakerphone. You know, it wasn't nothing, no crazy business or anything. And, you know, I'm not going to reveal my source, but I got to hear what Al Haymon sounded like. He had like that Mufasa ass voice. Simba, you mustn't go into the Pride Lands. Like, I was like, oh shit, this Al? Right? But other than that, he's off the grid. He just does what he does. I think he genuinely, one thing about Al Haymon, I don't know him, but he cares about his fighters. And I think that's apparent. You could take losses and he'll bring you back, like give you still opportunities. Like Sean Porter beat Adrian Broner, that was a loss, and then guess what? Broner fought Khabib Alexander for a title at 140, and he's also had big fights since then. Despite if he won them or not, you know, like the Mikey Garcias, he gives people their opportunity. You know, if you do the right things and don't go against the movement, like Vanes Monterosa or something, then you'll be looked after. It sounds like, you know. And I've interviewed a ton of from Thomas Top Dog Williams on up to some of the bigger stars that have made real big bucks with Al Haymon, like Andre Berto and stuff, Errol Spence, right? And they all credit him and say that, like even using Sean Porter, he took a Kell Brook loss, he lost to Keith Thurman, and next month he's getting ready to fight for a WBC title. Now, obviously, the sanctioning bodies have something to do with that too, but he was put in positions to fight in eliminators and, you know, get televised main events and stuff, and now he's right back there. So I believe what Errol Spence is saying. He says Al Haymon is a blessing in this dirty ass boxing game. Like, that was random. I've heard Gervonta Tank Davis say nothing but praises too. Even when him and Floyd Mayweather were kind of at odds publicly, it looked like Tank never said anything bad about Al Haymon. I never hear these guys, barring like Vanes Monterosa, who's no longer with Al Haymon and just got knocked out by Triple G and was on the show for 2+ years. I never really hear these guys go against Al Haymon, so obviously they like what he's doing. Another situation is Eddie Hearn came and said, oh, the American promoters and advisors better watch out. I'm coming. I got a big announcement. And then he announced he was coming out with his own streaming app and He was planning on setting up shop in America, no big deal, and people would be fretting and worried. I haven't seen Al Haymon, his organization, what he got going on, Top Rank. I don't really see anyone tripping off of what Eddie Hearn's doing. Like, I haven't really seen DAZN make such a power move where it shut shit down. You know what I mean? Premier Boxing Champs has like Wilder Fury with Frank Warren, in association with Frank Warren. They got Showtime Sean Porter, Danny Swift Garcia, which is a mega fight, right? Even Golden Boy got Canelo Triple G too, which is one of the biggest fights of the year. So I'm not really seeing these American promoters any reason for them to be sweating in their boots, and definitely not Al Haymon. Al Haymon fights in Premier Boxing Champs, Showtime, killing. They've been putting on quality and quantity. Some of the matches are just good, like Berto Alexander. It's not necessarily shaping the top 2 or top 3 guys in the division, but still a good fight, still an entertaining fight. And then you also have the quality where it's like Wilder versus Fury, or Sean Porter versus Danny Garcia, Adonis Stevenson versus Badu Jack. You know what I mean? Some shit that's gonna show us who's who in that division. So I just wanted to make a video about it and really talk about Errol Spence's comments. And I agree with him. This boxing game is a dirty ass game. You got to kind of get your chips and get out, especially as a fighter. A lot of politics. I know so much stuff that, that can't be revealed, or I choose not to reveal, but a lot of politics and behind the scenes shit and a lot of stuff that goes on. So if you find a real one who looks after you, then you got to take advantage of that and stay tuned. And I think that's what, like with Eddie Hearn, he says, I have $1 billion, I got the new streaming app, a new opportunity. You don't see many of the people who have been with Al Haymon for a year plus, right? You don't really see them paying no mind to that. Like the Charlos, Errol Spence already turned down and said, I don't need a promoter, man down. Gervonta Tank Davis, I ain't heard anything about him signing to Eddie Hearn, right? I haven't heard like most of the only person that sounds like that are, Adrian Broner publicly laughed and said, we making money over here. I'm loyal to Showtime and Al, right? The only person that I've heard that's like kind of close to the Al Haymon situation that has went is like maybe Jesse Vargas. Mikey Garcia might be entertaining a deal, but he's kind of a free agent. He was with Top Rank and then he was on the shelf for 2.5+ years, but he's been fighting on Al Haymon cards, Showtime cards. So it is what it is. The proof is in the pudding, and this is why New Media and Ego's Army is winning, because we're not afraid. Despite I say stuff when it's not popular. When I was saying stuff like, oh, let's give PBC a chance, they were saying PBC is ruining boxing, cherry pick mismatches, Al Haymon's the devil, he's Illuminati, he's cancerous to this whole boxing thing, he's putting on the worst fights, he's the worst promoter, even though he's not a promoter. They were saying these things. He's running out of money. Look at him. Haha. Free TV. Fuck that. I'd rather pay for quality and all this shit. And then now, a couple years later, look who's on top. Look who's putting on the most. Where HBO boxing is almost done. We don't really even hear, it's like HBO is so scared to pick up a fight unless it's on regular HBO and it's like a decent fight or a pay-per-view. They're like real weary on what they're gonna buy and support. And then you got guys like I said, Eddie Hearn took kind of shots at Al Haymon, but he's really trying to reduplicate what Al Haymon's already done. But the thing is, Al Haymon has a stable, Eddie Hearn doesn't. That's why he's getting, no disrespect to any fighter signed to DAZN. I know some of them personally, but he's not signing guys for the most part that have everything already. What I mean by that is on top, undefeated, champions, charisma, loads of momentum. People like Terrence Crawford, where it's like that dude he's at the top of the mountain. He could be here for years to come, undefeated, champion in multiple stuff like that. Most of the guys aren't. Tevin Farmer signed, shout out to him. He's a brand new champion with multiple losses, So that's good. That's great for him. I'm not knocking it, but I'm saying that Eddie Hearn's getting a lot of people like that. Jesse Vargas, a warrior, but he has losses. Lost to Timothy Bradley, lost to Pacquiao, got knocked down, right? Lost to Broner, in my opinion, but they said it was a draw. Stuff like that. It's not like the Errol Spences, the Jamal Charlo, guys that are ready made for pay-per-view right now. Deontay Wilder, he's another person that publicly said, I'm so frustrated. Eddie Hearns, you gonna have trouble signing Americans. because of the way you handled the Joshua situation. He told you that. He said Eddie Hearn's gonna have trouble. So Al Haymon must be doing something right, and Ego's Army must be doing something right, because we call this stuff down the middle, and now you guys are seeing it. Just a couple years. See, a lot of times people want to argue for the sake of arguing. They don't think about their argument. They don't think about the big picture long term. Once again, you have guys like, I just looked at Andre Berto. Go to his Instagram right now. He's in like Italy. It looks beautiful. He's one of the first people that Al Haymon was really like putting on, and like helped build PBC before it was PBC. He was like one of the flagship people. And it looks like he just fought Devin Alexander. I don't know how much he made or what, but it looks like he's been enjoying life for years, decade. You know what I mean? It looks like he's been that dude, like in terms of like financial freedom and financially straight. So obviously Al Haymon has probably a bond with Berto and knows that Berto is one of the pioneers for what he got going. And Berto was one of the people where, like, I'm talking about Berto when he was on HBO and he was fighting all these guys. What's his name? The guy that Keith Thurman fought, Carlos Quintanas, and Jen Zavic and all this, when he was fighting like those guys, and HBO was really promoting him. He was one of Al Haymon's first dudes, and one of the people that the young stars were looking, aside from Mayweather, the young stars were looking up to and wanted to sign to Al Haymon because of Mayweather and Berto were there. They're the like OGs, Al Haymon's whole shit. You know what I mean? And then from that point, Al Haymon kept growing and growing. And it looks like he's giving guys opportunities. And I'm a fan. Like I said, I don't know Al Haymon personally. I don't have his number or nothing like that. I don't work for him. He don't pay me. But I like to see these fighters happy because they are entertaining me. And people don't understand that this is a dirty ass game, like Errol Spence is saying. You got to get your chips and make smart decisions. Save. Motherfuckers want to get jewelry and watches and all that stuff. That's cool. Get a little light, some ice and shit. That's cool. But all that depreciates. All of it. All the stuff that, urban culture glorifies. You better just get your bread up and start making, like Floyd tell you. Floyd, for all his shortcomings or whatever you like or don't like about him, he's smart when it comes to business. I got a hell of a team. Al Haymon, I made the right decisions. And these young boys can't be, he's smart. And these fighters need to smarten up, get with winning teams, get with people. Like, and I think a lot of people on Al Haymon are doing it. Like, Errol Spence has man down promotions. He could easily take De La Hoya. De La Hoya admitted on Sirius XM that Errol Spence was one of the fighters that got away, that he would love to sign Errol Spence. He says that on tape. I have it. I have the audio, But Errol Spence, he had his own plan. He's like, I don't need no promoter. Man down. I don't need to sign to Eddie Hearn, top rank. I don't need no promoter. I like my situation. I like what we got going on. I'm living comfortable. I got my kids. I got my family. I got my dogs. Like, let's get it popping. So, shout out to Errol Spence for speaking up and being his own man, being his own boss, not being easily swayed. And you're seeing these fighters. I'm telling you, these fighters are getting smarter, starting their own LLCs and imprints and businesses outside of boxing, because for so long boxing catered to the promoter. Like, the promoters are making way more than the fighters, to the point where the promoters could be around for 20, 40 years, whatever Bob Arum's been around for. But look at some of the fighters that Bob Arum probably promoted back in the day. Them motherfuckers work at Kroger's and Publix and shit. You know what I mean? Because, young, living wild, don't have a right team. See, this is a dirty ass game. Errol ain't never lied. This is a dirty ass game. And they're not really, these promoters, a lot of times they're not going to put you in position. They're not going to put you up on no game. You got to get the game yourself, like Floyd. Floyd learned from being signed with Top Rank, bought himself out of his contract, and then, hooked up with Ellerby's. I don't know how long you've been with Ellerby, but hooked up with Al Haymon, and won't rest his history, right? You got to give yourself the game. You have to seek the knowledge, because a lot of people aren't going to put you in different situations, Like, I just see stuff. I heard Terrence Crawford, somebody's trying to extort him for his name and, copyright. It's I don't want to get into it, but there's a lot of things where people aren't going to give you the game. You got to go seeking it, because that's the way it's set up. You know, it's set up for the big wigs and the higher ups to eat and eat at your expense. So you got to make sure you eating too, and when this boxing shit is over, that you still got something, except for a highlight reel. Shout out to Errol Spence. Can't wait to see his next fight. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. He said Al Haymon still that dude, and a blessing in his dirty ass boxing game. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.